What begins as a casual sit-down with a comedian quickly turns into a minefield. The lights are warm, the set designed to feel like a cozy living room, and the mood starts off playful. But when Prince Harry joins Trevor Noah on What Now, what should have been a light-hearted exchange slowly unravels into one of the tensest interviews either man has faced. Trevor cracks jokes, Harry snaps back, and soon the laughs are gone. What follows isn't comedy. It's confrontation. The set was carefully staged to look disarming. Two soft armchairs faced each other across a low table with mugs of coffee, surrounded by books and lamps meant to mimic the comfort of a friend's home. Trevor welcomed the audience with his usual grin and smooth charm, before turning to his guest. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said warmly. "He's a prince, a husband, a father, and somehow always in the headlines. Please welcome Prince Harry." Harry entered with a stiff smile, shook Trevor's hand briefly, and sat down, leaning back with a confidence that felt more like a shield. Trevor began lightly, joking about LA traffic breaking spirits. The crew chuckled, but Harry's curt reply, "It wasn't that hard, I've dealt with worse," cut the humor short. Trevor tried again, comparing traffic to medieval torture before shifting to life in America. Harry smirked. "The real question is how I'm treating America. I'd say I've elevated the place." Trevor raised his brows in mock surprise, but Harry wasn't joking. "My presence alone brings attention, headlines, influence. That's the reality." The air shifted. Trevor nodded carefully and pivoted toward family life. Harry dismissed the question outright, calling it tabloid fluff. Trevor tried to lighten things with a self-deprecating story, but Harry shrugged it off. "Maybe you need to be relatable." "I don't." The crew shifted uncomfortably. When asked about growing up royal, Harry described it as a gilded cage, a life of pressure and no freedom. Trevor acknowledged the weight of it but noted the benefits too. Harry cut him off sharply. "So what? I was born into it. That doesn't mean I owe it gratitude. If anything, I owe myself for surviving." Trevor laughed nervously, but the tension thickened. The sharpest turn came when Trevor brought up Diana, asking if Harry felt a responsibility to show the openness people admired in her. Harry's smirk vanished, replaced with a glare. "Don't compare me to her. I'm not here to be some saint for the public. If people don't like me, that's their problem." The room grew cold. Trevor leaned back, his humor muted, his smile practiced but strained. For the first time, the performance felt less like a conversation and more like a standoff. Concern, maybe even irritation, hung in the air as the first segment closed. Trevor thanked Harry for his candor, but the words landed stiff, lacking their usual warmth. Behind the smiles, the atmosphere had shifted. The living room set no longer looked like a cozy retreat, but the opening bell of a heavyweight match where the gloves had just come off. After a quick cutaway, the lights returned, soft and golden as before. Trevor clasped his hands, flashing his stage-ready grin. Though his eyes betrayed the unease of a man steering through dangerous waters. "Welcome back to What Now? We're still here with Prince Harry," he began, his voice smooth but cautious. "And I have to say, man, you don't hold back. Which is good. My audience loves honesty. You should see them when I claim I'm taller than the rock. Doesn't work." The crew chuckled politely. Harry leaned back, unmoved. "I've never needed comedy to make myself worth listening to." Trevor's smile froze for a fraction of a beat before he forced it back into place. "Right. Good thing I do then, or I'd be unemployed." He set the joke aside and tried to pivot. "So life in the States. You've mentioned finding peace in California. What's a typical day like?" Harry scoffed. "Typical? My days aren't typical. I don't worry about rent or catching buses. I don't live like everyone else, and I don't see why I should pretend I do." Trevor leaned into humor again. "So if you were on a bus, it would have to bow before moving?" The crew laughed, grateful for the levity. Harry didn't blink. "If I were on a bus, it would make headlines. That's the reality of being me." Trevor's grin faltered. He softened his tone. I hear you. But don't you think part of why people tune in is to see the ways you are like them? Maybe not subway rides, but small human details. Harry waved him off. People want too much. They think they're entitled to every piece of my life. That's why I left Britain. Constant intrusion. I'm here on my terms, not theirs. The chill deepened. Trevor shuffled his cards, shifting lanes again. All right, let's go bigger. When you look at the monarchy today, what do you see? Tradition, history, maybe meaning for the people of the UK. Harry leaned forward, his tone edged with disdain. I see an outdated machine. Archaic rules, empty rituals. They call it duty. It's control. Suffocating. Trevor nodded slowly. That's heavy. But there are people who'd say you benefited too. The education, the protection, the platform. Harry cut in sharply, almost condescending. Benefited? That word's thrown around too easily. I didn't ask to be born into it. Any so-called benefit was just the leash being gilded. The crew shifted uneasily. Trevor tried another joke. Well, for the record, if someone wants to leash me with gold, I'll take 24 carats minimum. The laugh it earned was thin, strained. Harry crossed his arms, unmoved. Trevor tried again. Let's talk family. How's Megan? How are the kids? People are curious. Harry snapped. People are always curious. Too curious. My wife is fine. My children are fine. Their well-being is nobody's business but ours. The idea I need to perform my family life for an audience is absurd. Trevor lifted a hand. Careful. Fair enough. I get it. Even I try to keep my mom out of my routines, though she sneaks in anyway. But don't you think sharing just a little helps people feel connected? Harry leaned in, eyes narrowing. Connected? They don't want connection. They want access. And I refuse to give it. Silence fell, thick and heavy. Trevor shifted, searching for an escape line. Man, he said finally with a weak laugh. If this interview was a Tinder date, I think you just swiped left on the whole world. The room chuckled, but Harry only smirked and shook his head. Maybe the world deserves it. The laughter drained instantly. Trevor exhaled, tapping his cards against his knee, feeling the mood sour. The easy, casual rhythm he had worked so hard to create was unraveling, and Harry seemed determined to torch what was left. Okay? Trevor said at last, his voice steady but softer now. Let's shift a little. Your mother, Princess Diana, she was admired everywhere for her openness, her willingness to be vulnerable. Do you feel you carry any of that legacy with you? Harry's eyes flashed. I'm tired of being compared to her. Everyone wants me in her shadow, measured against her choices. She lived her life. I live mine. Stop trying to make me her replacement. Trevor hesitated. I wasn't trying to... Harry cut him off, his voice rising. That's all anyone ever does. They talk about her like I'm a copy, like my choices should mirror hers. I'm not her. I don't owe anyone the comfort of that comparison. Uneasy glances rippled through the crew. Trevor swallowed, nodded and forced composure. All right. That's clear. Let's move forward. But the warmth had gone. Jokes fell flat. Harry's answers cut sharp. And the once cozy set felt colder by the minute. At home, viewers weren't watching a friendly conversation anymore. They were watching a slow-motion collision. And Trevor knew, deep down, the storm was still building. The living room set no longer looked welcoming. It felt like an arena. The two men boxed in under invisible ropes. Trevor shuffled his cards, forcing his trademark grin, as though the right question might thaw his guest. But Harry had already signaled there would be no softness tonight. Trevor leaned back, clasping his hands. Let's try this another way. A lot of people see you as the one who broke away, redefined what it means to be part of the royal story. Do you think of yourself as an outsider now? Or still tied to that world? Harry let out a dry, humorless laugh. Tied? The only thing I'm tied to is people like you asking me about it. Over and over. I left. I don't look back. It's everyone else who can't let it go. Trevor tilted his head. That's fair. But from the outside, it looks like you're still very engaged. Interviews, books, Netflix deals. Some would say that's looking back, just with a bigger paycheck. A smirk curved Harry's mouth. Oh, is this where you pretend to be clever? I've heard that recycled line 100 times. If you think using my platform is clinging to the past, maybe you need better material. The jab landed hard. Trevor chuckled, but his smile faltered. Better material, huh? I'll pass that on to my writers. But just to clarify, don't you think using your royal name while condemning the monarchy sounds contradictory? Harry crossed his arms. People are obsessed with contradictions. Life is complicated. I don't need to fit into your neat little boxes, Trevor. Still calm, Trevor spread his hands. No neat boxes here. Just a guy with questions. Speaking of complicated, your kids. People wonder what kind of upbringing you want for them in America. Do you want them tied to royal tradition or cut off completely? Harry's jaw tightened. My children aren't a talking point for your show. They're not tabloid fodder. The fact you even ask proves how broken this system is. Trevor lifted his palms in mock defense. Hey, I'm not the tabloids. I'm just the guy in the armchair across from you. People ask because they admire you and Meghan. They want to know how you see the future. Harry's voice cut sharp. Admiration? Spare me. The public doesn't admire. They consume, and I'm not here to feed them anymore. The silence grew heavy. Even the crew froze at the edges of the set, eyes darting nervously. Trevor pushed a grin, trying to float. Man, if I ever talked about my mom like that, she'd be roasting me in the comments section right now. But let's pivot. Meghan, how's she doing? How are you both balancing the spotlight? Harry rolled his eyes. There it is. The Meghan question. Because I can't exist without her, right? That's what everyone thinks. Every conversation circles back to Meghan, like she's the only part of me people want to see. I get it. She's glamorous, she sells headlines. But I'm not her shadow, Trevor chuckled lightly. Honestly, most husbands would kill for that kind of coverage. If my partner got that much attention, I'd milk it for free Netflix. The crew laughed faintly, but Harry leaned forward, his voice cutting through the room. It's not funny. You joke, but you don't know how suffocating it is. Meghan and I are dragged into the spotlight whether we want it or not. Trevor nodded. Slower now. I hear you. I really do. But from the outside, it sometimes looks like you lean into it. The Netflix series, the podcast. It doesn't exactly scream disappearing into the background. Harry's smirk came back sharper. So now you're telling me how to live? Let me guess. You think I should just fade away so everyone else feels more comfortable? Trevor's smile thinned. He kept his tone careful, but it carried more weight. Not at all. I just think when you say you want privacy but keep stepping into the spotlight, people get confused. That's not judgment. That's just what they see. Harry leaned back, arms crossed tight. People can think what they want. I don't owe them clarity. I don't owe them anything. The words landed like a slap. The room went silent, the hum of the air conditioning suddenly loud. Trevor glanced toward the cameras, then back at Harry. His easy grin had slipped. You know, he said, voice light but eyes harder now. I thought this would be fun. A little banter, some laughs. Instead, it feels like I walked into a press conference wrapped in barbed wire. Harry didn't blink. Maybe that's because you came here expecting me to play along. I don't play anymore. Trevor set his cards down, leaning forward. His voice stayed calm, but a warning edge crept in. It's not a game. It's a conversation. And right now it feels like you're daring me to turn it into something else. For a moment, silence pressed heavy. Harry smirked faintly as if daring him. Trevor leaned back slowly, crossing one leg over the other. The smile stayed, but the warmth behind it was gone. All right, he said softly. Let's see where this goes. The tension thickened, electric, as if the whole room was holding its breath. Trevor's usual rhythm, playful, charming, light, had drained away. Across from him, Harry sat taut, unreadable, every line of his face sharpened. Trevor leaned forward again, his voice calm but weighted. Harry, let's strip it down. You've been sitting here for nearly an hour giving short, biting answers to simple questions. I've laughed. I've smoothed it over. But tell me, why agree to this at all if you came here just to sneer at it? Harry leaned back, arms crossed. Because I'm tired of everyone thinking they're entitled to my soul. Every time I sit here, people expect confessions, revelations, some neat little package. I'm done with that role. Trevor's brows rose. You call this being done? This isn't honesty. It's hostility. I asked about your family, your kids, Megan, your future. You turned everyone into a weapon. That's not protecting yourself. That's shutting people out. Harry's voice cut sharper. Maybe people should be shut out. All they've done is judge, criticize, and feed off me like scavengers. The monarchy, the press, even interviewers hiding behind jokes. It's all the same circus. Trevor's smile almost vanished. A circus, huh? That's rich coming from the guy who keeps selling tickets. The books, the shows, the documentaries. You built the tent yourself. Don't act like you're a prisoner inside it. The crew shifted nervously as the air in the room seemed to tighten. Harry leaned in, his voice dropping to a low growl. You don't get it. You've never lived it. It's easy to sit there with your jokes and charm acting like you understand. But you don't. None of you do. Trevor's jaw tightened, the last thread of patience snapping. He set his cards aside, clasping his hands. You're right, Harry. I don't know what it's like to be born into that world. But I do know something else. Decency. And tonight you've shown none. Harry's smirk faltered. Excuse me? Trevor's voice rose, not in anger but in conviction. You sit here demanding respect while giving none. You've dismissed every question, sneered at every topic, and carried yourself like a spoiled child who thinks the world is beneath him. Frankly, I've had enough. The words struck like a hammer. The room seemed to lose its air. Harry blinked, unsteady for the first time. I thought maybe you were nervous, or just having a bad night. Trevor pressed on. But this isn't nerves. This is arrogance. And if you think this is how you honor your mother's memory, or shape a future for your children, you're wrong. You're not tearing down walls, Harry. You're burning bridges. Harry's face hardened. His voice rose. How dare you? Trevor didn't move. His eyes locked on Harry's. No, how dare you? You walked into this space, into my show, full of contempt. And I gave you the benefit of the doubt. But this isn't honesty. This is childishness dressed as rebellion. Harry's fists clenched on his knees, but Trevor kept going. I've interviewed presidents, activists, actors, people who've endured storms most of us can't imagine. And every one of them sat here with grace. You drip disdain, like you're too good for the chair you chose to sit in. That's not strength. That's weakness. The cameras caught everything. The crew barely breathed. Harry shot up from his chair, the scrape echoing across the studio. If this is your show, then I want no part of it. I don't need to sit here and be lectured by a comedian pretending to be a journalist. Trevor rose too. Calm, steady. He didn't match Harry's rage. He didn't need to. Then leave. Because this show won't enable arrogance. Not yours, not anyone's. Harry's jaw clenched, his face red with fury. Without another word, he turned and stormed off set, his footsteps ringing in the stunned silence. The camera lingered on the empty chair he left behind. Trevor exhaled, then turned to the lens. His voice was quiet but weighted. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what you expected tonight, but I doubt it was this. An interview is supposed to be a conversation. What we got was a wall. And I won't apologize for calling that out. What I will do is apologize to you for wasting your time on someone who clearly doesn't value it. He shook his head, sat back down, and let the silence settle. The feed cut to black, leaving audiences everywhere stunned, replaying every word of the clash. Harry had arrived to tell his story. Instead, he walked away with none.